father and son in the 1950s were fishing this river as the sun was coming up. And the father turned to the son and said, "You know, it would be nice to have a fly with those colors in it." Well, there it is. It's reds with a little silver in it, and yellow, and I made a small change in that the wing was supposed to be polar bear. Well, I have a piece of polar bear, but I want to use it on other flies, so I put in here just some polypro. But for the wing, it's fine. It's unweighted. However, it's on a relatively small hook for a streamer. The other two patterns I'm tying tonight are on much larger hooks, or longer hooks anyway. This is Tiemco 200R, and it's a size 6, even though that's okay. So it has a curved shank, and I think that'll help. I've never fished this one, but I'm assuming that the curved shank will help it move in the water a bit better because it will undulate. Did I get it? Nope. And this is the easiest one to tie except for one small step. And of course it happens to be right near the very beginning, and that's the tail. The tail of this fly on a good day would be a pain in the butt because it's made from red and yellow saddle hackle fibers mixed. That last word is the stuff that makes it hard, trying to mix those together. One of the things you have to be very careful is not to put too much yellow. The yellow is such a dominant color in the pattern that if you put too much yellow in the tail, it will jump right out. So what I've got here is 6/0 super thread. The pattern called to use 3/0. Nah, that's a little heavy. 6/0's probably fine. But I'm thinking that in the 50s, 3/0 was probably fine thread. You know, so it's sticking with. And just run the thread to the back, and like anywhere else, just let it hang over where the barb is on the hook. That's the starting point. Now the fun part. I have to take some fibers off this red, and I want more than double the number of red fibers than I need for yellow. So you got to get just about twice as many red fibers as yellow ones. And I'm using really inexpensive strung saddle, and I really don't care if it's webby or not. It's really cheap feathers. I was using an old Indian neck I've got for the red, but I decided no. So I ran out and got some a little bit better. And like I said, the yellow has to be minimized compared to the red. And you'll see when I first put these two together that the yellow is much more dominant. And that's half as much. And now you got to kind of twist and flip and hand stack and all the other good stuff that goes along with it to try and get this stuff mixed up a bit. And there were many times when the air in my tying room was magenta because I would get frustrated trying to put this thing together when everything fell apart. So tie this in, and the pattern says that the tail should be at least the length of the shank. At least the length of the shank of the hook. And reading about this thing, the year after they tied this pattern and were fishing it, they caught a state record salmon and the state record brown trout, the same hook. So it obviously an effective pattern. Okay. Now you put red chenille, and this is the package that I pulled this out of. See the price?
Make sure.
Rich must be old.
35 cents for that, right?
So you didn't rush out and get a new one then?
No, I didn't rush out and get a new one of those. Now, I'm going to use some gold flat tinsel, if I can get it out of here without breaking it. That's the wrong spool. Where'd it go? There it is. The first couple I tied of this, I put them on much bigger hooks, and I mean size 2s and 1/0, you know. But then I found that it was just, I kept thinking to myself, why are you making boat anchors when I'm doing this? You know, it just, so tying this on, I want to make sure that the gold side is toward me, and I tie it on the side of the hook, not on top, so that when I wrap it as a rib on this thing, that the silver side comes up, because that's what I want. Then I put some of this very expensive high-tech new chenille on here, and I don't need very much, so I'm just going to clip a chunk off of here. The other, I had some chenille that looked like you could clean the Jolly Green Giant's pipe with it. It was so thick for the larger hooks. Okay, and then we just make sure that's well bound down, run the thread up to the front. Easy pattern. Following one of Leroy Hyatt's suggestions, take the first wrap of the chenille behind the rib, so that the rib doesn't fall off the back and it appears out of the material, not as if by magic. Run this up to the front, and I tied it 2 different ways. I counter wrapped the rib on it, and I just standard wrap it, and it didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference in the pattern. Didn't change it about a whole bunch. So this one is relatively easy. Again, crowded the head a little bit. Everybody knows how to fix that. Right. Twist and push. Because I got to put. Did it come up? Is it coming silver? No, it's not. Gold. It's coming out gold. You dirty router. Okay, I'll counter wrap it then. It should come out silver. Come in. There we go. And you only need 3, maybe 4 wraps of the tinsel. The original pattern called for metallic tinsel. And I've got some. I know I've got some. I don't know where it is. I found metallic oval tinsel, but I couldn't find the flat. It just disappeared on me. Okay. That's the first step. Okay, it still slid forward a bit on me. Now I need to put 2 hackles on here. A yellow one and a red one. Again, we're not going with really expensive feathers on here. And I want them slightly oversized, and I want to make sure that when I tie this on, the curve is towards the back of the hook. I was in the middle of tying one of these this afternoon when my grandson decided he wanted Grandpa. Grandma wasn't good enough. He wanted Grandpa. So, at 11 weeks old, what the hell, right? Now, tie them both on at the same time, but I'm going to wrap them one at a time. The guy who did the demo of the thing on the internet, he wrapped them both at the same time, and I thought it looked awful. It just didn't look right. So, but maybe I'm just getting picky in my old age in the way I tie my flies. That could be. I'm not quite as picky as Jack Dennis was. Yeah, it's the poke, poke, poke with his finger all the time. So, I'm going to wrap this one. Stay behind the red, because the red one's going to wrap in front. Now, this one gets a maximum of about 2.5 wraps of this yellow. Remember, the dominant color is the yellow, so you want to minimize how much is there. Grab the whole thing and pull it back. Tie it down, and it didn't do it. Okay, come on. What do you think this is, Monday night? There, now we wrap the red one in front of the yellow and kind of into the last wrap of the yellow. And we just wrap 4 or 5 turns, which is just about all you're going to get on this feather. Remembering they're inexpensive. Keep that for the next little project. Now, I called this the Northern Lights pinch, where you grab everything and run it back so that it all goes back over the hook. Trying to get as far back as I can. That's not bad. Trim off this extra red one that decides it wants to be stubborn. Now we dig out the polar bear. This imitation polar bear, by the way. And I find if you cut this off into short pieces like this, you can grab one strand and pull it out. You just pull it and it comes out. You don't have to unweave the thing. It comes nice. Now, dog grooming comb. We'll comb through this thing. And it'll grab the knots and pull them all out for you. Once you got what you think you need, tie the polypro so that it comes out just about at the end of the tail. And wrap it on. Now, the guy who tied this did that and then tied it down. And that's one of the things I went, yuck. I thought the wing was too heavy. So, and I think that's probably most common error in most flies. There's too much material on them. Just dress them too heavy. Put a head. Now, the guys from the Skykomish, when they finished this thing, they didn't think it was fancy enough, so they put jungle cock eyes on it. I'm not going there. I almost dug out some black guinea and a yellow Sharpie. It made yellow eyes in the guinea, but like I said, 11-week-old kids will take your time. And I had him 4 days last week all by myself. So now he only wants grandma. Oh, there we go. That's the first one.